Welcome to Bar Chat. That's where it's at. I'm Lexi.
I'm Bianca.
And I'm Becca.
And we're chatting all things dance. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about burnout among dancers.
So let's get into it, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't really know where to start for this one.
Right.
How far into your dance career did you start experiencing burnout?
That's a good one.
I can think right away.
Yeah, you go, because I'm still thinking.
Many times throughout my dance career thus far, I've experienced burnout. The first I can think of is when I was around like 12 or 13 in middle school. I was going to dance every day with my friends, and it was the same people every day. And I think being around that a lot is part of why I got burnt out. So it might have not been necessarily dance burnout, but I think it was burnout of just being in that environment in the studio. And also some of the girls that I danced with were not the nicest to me. So I kind of felt bullied sometimes, to the point where when I was experiencing this burnout, I was talking to my dad and I was like, I don't really want to continue dancing. And he was like, what? Like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah, like I don't want to take dance classes anymore. And he kind of had to give me a pep talk, and I'm glad that he did. And he was like, you know, you're too talented to stop now, and you've been doing this for so long. If it's about people, I don't think that you should let that get the best of you. And being 12 or 13, I was like, no, like this is what I want to do. But I kept going, and I'm very glad that I did.
Yeah, I'm glad you did too.
I think you have to push through it.
I mean, it's great that you had the support system of your dad to tell you, like, no, you're doing this.
Yeah.
You still love it.
I do want to ask, though, do you think that if he didn't give you that response, you would be dancing now?
I do. I think what would have happened is, because like I said, it wasn't necessarily about dance. I think that I would have probably taken maybe a small break.
Missed it.
Right.
Like literally a week or two.
Right.
Or like tried a different studio. But I definitely would have gotten back into it for sure. Because I also danced in high school at school.
Right.
On top of dance. So yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I guess I feel like the first time that I felt burnt out, and again, it really wasn't like a dance thing, it was more the people. It was when I first joined the competition team. I think I was in like 4th or 5th grade, and I was the youngest in my class. So, and I danced in a different town than I lived in. So the girls in my class, like they all went to school together, they were in the same grade. We didn't really have any like commonality, or like they didn't really allow any commonality. So I remember like
literally same.
One time like overhearing them like saying something mean about me, and I went, like I was so upset, I went to my mom and I was like crying, and I was like, I don't know if I want to do this, like maybe I should just not be on the team and I could just do rec. And they were like, no, like you need to stay on the team because you have talent, like you should stay here. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do that. So it really was a people thing. And then I guess the second time that I felt burnt out was in 8th grade, when I think I mentioned this in the past podcast, where our old studio owner kind of just ripped me apart and made me feel like I was the worst dancer ever. And I really like just kind of thought about everything, and I was like, why am I even doing this? Like, is there a reason for me to be dancing? Am I not good enough? Like, should I just not do it? So I feel like for me, I hit the microphone. I feel like for me, a lot of the reason that I felt burnt out was because of the people I was surrounded by. And then once I kind of took dance into my own hands and was like, it doesn't matter who you're dancing with, who's teaching you, what they're saying to you. Like, if you enjoy it and you want to be there and it makes you happy, then that's why you do it.
Yeah. And just before, I just want to say something really quick about that. I think that a lot of the burnout that happens with dance can a lot of the times be your environment. So if you feel like you're at a studio that is toxic, leave and go somewhere else, because I think everybody starts loving dance. Dance is the reason you start dancing. So it's the people around you, the teachers, your classmates, that change your experience.
Absolutely. And I feel like once, like I said, like once we got the new studio owner and the people in my classes started to change and we had like new teachers, my entire perspective of dance changed, because everything was so great. And I felt like I was in such a positive environment that I was like, wow, I can't believe that just a couple of years ago, I felt like I didn't want to dance anymore. Because then I got to a point where I was like, I can never stop doing this, you know?
No, you actually, Lexi, unlocked a memory for me, because the same thing happened. Because I started dance later, I didn't really get burnt out like as a kid, but I definitely went through that phase where I started at a studio where everyone's been dancing there together since they were 3 years old. I walked in at 13 and was kind of left out of things. And I remember talking to my mom being like, I don't want to do this because like it's not fun.
It's hard. The people make such an impact on your experience.
And you're all probably super close friends at that point already.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So you have to weave your way in.
And I mean, I ended up becoming really close friends with them later on, but for the first few years, it was really hard because I was getting left out of things because they didn't know me, but they didn't want to know me.
And that's such a terrible age to like do that.
Right.
Middle school, like out of every.
Yeah. But yeah, because I feel like most of my experience with burnout has been in college. I don't think and even if we did experience burnout, this might just be a me thing. Like the idea of burnout has a really negative connotation where it's like, oh, it's because you don't love dancing.
Right.
And so you never even wanted to like admit it to others or even yourself that you were burnt out because maybe it makes it seem like you're lazy or not as good. And like you have to like always try to prove yourself, which therefore makes you more and more burnt out.
Yeah. So like clearly we all kind of had similar feelings younger-ish, but you just mentioned college. And then I was going to say that through my college experience, which it had its ups, but it also had its downs with the school, I definitely felt burnt out a lot of the time. My school really drilled you. They, with rehearsal, staying late, getting there early. It was very, very rigorous training. And they were not lenient with breaks or injuries like I've previously discussed.
Clearly, from the teachers that you've had in the past, it doesn't sound like they do.
And
they don't even like periods.
Yeah, no, they don't let you go to the bathroom. So through my experience with college, I definitely got burnt out a lot, especially towards the end of senior year, because that even got more intense.
Right.
But then the pandemic came, and I was still in that phase, but that allowed me to sink into it and just let it pass. And now I feel more ready to just go back into class and like give it my all because I want to, not because my teachers are telling me to.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What about you, Becca? You said you had some college stories.
Yeah, well, I think for me, I feel like I'm always burnt out in school. Like there's always, and it's what you said, like you're being like forced to go to classes sometimes. And you talked about it a little, but for me, it's very like environment based and it's very like based off schedule. I have the same classes every semester. A lot of my classes, I have the exact same schedule, like for the entire year or actually all 4 years, like structure wise and stuff. So I get so caught up and so bored with my routine. I'm dancing
that's so
in the
true.
same classes with my same teachers, with the same students that I take every other class with because my program is so small.
Yeah.
That it's not I'm burnt out over dance. I'm just burnt out from my schedule. So I think the number one thing for me, and sometimes this is hard to do, but if you really like focus your mind, like if you make the active decision to do it, it's just to like, I always say like getting out of your bubble is the number one thing that helps you deal with burnout. And if there's like, there's so many different possibilities when I say getting out of your bubble, like it can even mean just taking a virtual dance class.
Right.
In a style or taking a style that you're not normally taking or
outside of the box.
Yeah, just doing anything different. Or if there's like a dance class you've always been wanting to try or
maybe like acting or singing.
Yes,
like
exactly.
something that's more theater related that can kind of get you like out of your cycle.
Yeah,
to
just
break
changing the schedule just a little bit because you do get really caught up and it's just like mind numbing. Like everyone always says like the beginning of the year is always so fresh and new and exciting. Like you can keep that excitement and that freshness if you do something different. Like maybe go and say once a week, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to try something new once a week. And that like helps you stay more motivated in the classes that you're like normally taking.
Yeah,
absolutely. I had a very similar issue this year where like I definitely felt burnt out, and you're right, like the beginning was so new and exciting, and I'm somebody who like structure and schedule is very important to me. It's hard for me to break that schedule. So trying to figure out a way to keep everything new and exciting is definitely tricky. But I felt burnt out a little, like I guess in like the opposite way where like I was so burnt out from all of my activities as a whole that it kind of reflected onto dance. So although I wasn't burnt out from dance, I was burnt out in general, which kind of made me feel burnt out from dance, I guess. What?
I bumped into her
elbows.
arm and she gave me like a dirty look.
No,
so
I
I was
didn't.
like, I'm sorry.
I just looked at you when you were about to laugh, so I started
Anyways,
laughing.
Sorry for
I lost
cutting
my
you
train of
off.
thought.
No, you
forgot.
were talking about it transferred onto dance.
Oh, yeah. I felt just like everything felt so repetitive. Like my Mondays were the same Monday every single week. My Tuesday, and like I was doing so much. I was teaching Zumba this year. I had 2 clubs.
Yes.
One that I was the president of, making sure I ran that correctly
Okay,
every single
Madam
week.
President.
And then the other club I was the choreographer for. So it's like just choreographing so much. It took a lot out of me. And
takes
even
a
though
toll.
like the choreography wasn't super hard choreography, I had to continue to think of new stuff every
Still,
time.
yeah.
And it burns you out. So even though I wasn't burned out from dance specifically, everything that I was doing kind of just wore me down. And I really needed summer because even though I wasn't like done with all my activities, like it still was enjoying, I was just so like just dead going to everything at that point. So summer was much needed, and I'm feeling better already.
Yes, summer is a great break.
And even if you're, whatever age you are, just breaks in general are good.
Yes.
Like mental breaks are good. Physical breaks are good. It doesn't matter if it's 2 days or 2 weeks, 2 months, whatever you need. It's very important. And that
Definitely.
goes with everything in life. But
I was gonna
dance,
say, have you guys done anything to like kind of take that mental break or just to help your mental health a bit, like yoga, journaling, any of that stuff?
Well, when I think about a break, I think about the pandemic break that I took.
That's what
which
I think of
talked
too.
about last episode, where I just didn't dance for a month, and that was the first break I ever took. And I felt so much more myself and stuff. So now I'm much more willing and open to taking breaks because I always come back from my breaks a better dancer.
Yeah.
So it's kind of I always made a joke that it was like a life hack. If you stop dancing, like not dancing helps you improve sometimes because it's right. Like you get burnt out and you just like your body. It's a physical thing too. Not
Have
only
you guys
mental.
ever like not taken class for like even a week and then you go back into like a ballet class, you do a double and it's like super clean and good?
My turns are
And
always better.
Yeah.
They're always better. And I'm like, oh, I'm actually kind of good.
Right.
Like I
Right.
thought I was
Yeah, you
terrible.
should be like,
Right.
I should take more breaks.
Yeah, I should
No,
take more
it's
breaks.
kind of like that thing, when people are working out and they're lifting and they say like don't do it every day because the
Yes.
muscle has to like
You have
form.
to
Like
rest.
that's kind of what I feel like this
Yeah,
is.
the
Like
muscles need
resting
time.
helps you heal and get better and stronger. And I feel like that's what it is.
Yeah.
100%.
yeah.
Because even like we, especially like Becca and I, like we haven't danced for a month. And when we took that dance class the other day, we all felt so good. Like we were tired
Yes.
and we were definitely, it
Maybe
was
a little
definitely
bit
like
out
a
of
run for our
shape.
money, but the dancing itself, like we all felt so good about it,
Yes.
But it's also like you need to be okay with like not like getting out of shape sometimes or whatever. Like you're never, if you think about athletes, I always think about this, but if someone is a baseball player and they're in season, they only need to be in their prime shape during that time. As dancers,
Right.
we need to be at the prime, or we think that we need to be at the like top of our shape, at the top of our game all the time.
Like
dancers
100%.
don't get a
That's
month
not,
off.
that's not
Yeah.
realistic.
There's no like
at
dance
all.
season. Every season is dance season, so you don't really get a break.
And that's not realistic at all. So I think people need to be more accepting with the fact that like your physicality is gonna ebb and flow, and
Right.
that's just how it's gonna be, and not be like so hard on yourselves. Because I
Yeah.
know that
Yeah.
when I'm like out of shape or at like my lowest, like physicality wise, it's not like I'm not. Sorry, guys.
Our producer was coughing.
No, I feel
I
bad.
wonder if
He
the mic
probably-
picked that up.
Oh my goodness.
He probably
He's gonna fall.
he's climbing over the chair. This is a really tight room.
This is really great.
It's not. Yes, he needs to drink some water.
Yeah. You can chill out there.
Okay, bye, Beckett.
But
Yeah, taking breaks. Or we were talking about physicality, but it's okay to like get in and out of shape and not be so hard on yourself. Because I remember I used to be so hard on myself whenever I like couldn't lift my leg as high as I could. Or
It's
anything.
hard not to be hard on yourself, though.
I've experienced that a lot after the pandemic.
Yes.
I'm like, my leg is not
Yes.
where it used to be.
Oh,
Or my flexibility
too.
at all.
or
my
my
flexibility
stamina,
isn't how it
my
was before.
jumps, like everything.
Yes, I
do
100%
Zumba,
agree.
guys. Your stamina
I
like
know.
skyrockets.
I need to.
You know what I do? I cycle.
Ooh, I don't like cycling. It hurts my butt.
I think it's just not for
I
me.
love it.
See, we all have different likes and dislikes.
Exactly.
But what I found interesting is that we all kind of feel the same way about like our burnout wasn't from dance. It was from the people around us.
Right.
But I know a lot of people, old friends and, you know, dance colleagues who did experience it from dance.
Really?
And from what I remember, you know, like I know a lot of them who used to dance with me in middle school. They got really burnt out with the whole concept of dance and then they just stopped completely.
Yeah.
Never returned. Some of them stopped for a long time. Now they're getting back into it as an adult. So, you know, it's just like, different reasons are why we get burnt out, but they're all valid.
The reason why you get burnt out is because you just keep pushing and pushing yourself. Like if you get burnt out dance wise, it's just because you're not like giving yourself time to heal, like what we said before. But there are instances where you don't have time to give yourself time to heal. So what would you guys say when you like performance, if you're in the middle of a performance and you're in rehearsals every day, like how do you deal with not getting burnt out and anything during,
like repeating choreography for shows?
Or even just like when you are preparing for a show, like that entire month is so like I always like it's so draining and it's so hard. Like how do you guys deal with it when you don't have time to take a break?
I think that comes with self-care.
Yeah.
Like in between, like when you go home, if you want to take a bubble bath or if you want to read a book that you like, you know, go take a walk,
doing
make
something
your
that
favorite
isn't
food.
dance. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, because you have to separate yourself. It's so hard as dancers to separate yourself from your craft, but it's necessary.
Yeah.
You're not just a dancer, you're a human.
Exactly.
I say it all the time. Wow, my chair just really.
I would say.
Okay.
I hope they can't hear that.
Sorry, I almost spit out my water.
I would say, and I feel like this is something that a lot of my dance teachers said growing up, and then it's something that I've been saying to like my dance company as well. When you're rehearsing for a show, and I feel like this happens to everyone, you reach a point where you just need to be on the stage. Yeah. Like the dance is not going to get any better at this point, and you just need to be on the stage. And I feel like I've never had a dance teacher push us past the point where it's like, we still need to work, because they know when it's stage ready. And once we get onto that stage, even more energy will come, and they know that. And not saying that like we don't bring the energy to rehearsal and stuff, but there's just a point where the dance reaches a point
you're beating
where
a dead
it's not
horse.
going to change. And once it gets onto stage, like it is stage ready.
And you want it to have that fresh feeling too.
Yeah.
Like you need to find the happy medium in like between like cleaning it and making sure it's clean, but also like not drilling choreography when you know it's fresh. And I think that comes with like time when you're at a studio and you're with younger dancers. Yeah, you have to drill that. And yeah, maybe it dries out the choreography a little bit or in like the performance, but
there's also something about when you put the costume on and when you have that live audience, like you just get this like rush
lashes,
of adrenaline, and it's so exciting, and it's not the same feeling that you felt in the studio.
Yeah, and also remembering why you're doing your dance.
Right.
Like think of it from an emotional perspective. Like think about something different every time you execute the steps. Don't just have like a blank mind of like, I'm doing a passe, I'm doing an arabesque. It's more
Think
than
of the
that.
intention behind the dance.
Exactly. It's an emotional thing, and that really reads on stage. But as an artist, you feel that as well. It's not just like, oh, I have to think about something emotional so that I perform
love
better.
Emoting when I'm dancing. Like that is probably my like best
That's
feature, I guess,
like,
when I'm dancing. It's my favorite thing to do because it's not like I'm just making a face. Like it's what I'm feeling in that moment.
Yeah.
And it
it's
makes
genuine.
me so happy to emote when I'm dancing. It's my favorite thing.
Yeah, I think emoting is super important. And even in class, that's how you can avoid burnout as well. If you remember, like, I enjoy this.
Right.
This is a sport that I want to do. And I'm going to remember that even through the trials and the hardships in between.
Yeah.
Sorry, were you going to talk?
I was going to say, I think the best piece of advice I got was like, because I love emoting too. And like I always say my favorite thing about dance is storytelling. So I always incorporate that in my performance. But what you said, like you can incorporate that in class too.
Right.
So when you're doing a combination, especially in a class like ballet or modern, it's very, very structured and very codified. But if you take that and say, this is the story, this is what I'm feeling, and bringing the outside, like maybe you're going through something and you're going to be like, okay, I'm going to emote that. I'm going to story tell that in my dancing. And that is something that helps you keep it really fresh too, so you don't burn out.
I had this dance teacher growing up. Her name was Miss Danny. She was like that dance teacher that would always give you pep talks.
And she was always on your side and
got
always giving
this,
like this
ladies.
like emotion,
Motivating.
the motivational speeches.
Yeah.
She was amazing. And something she always said to us was, and I know you've probably heard this before, but leave your baggage at the door. Like you have to take off that backpack of emotions that don't have anything to do with dance and just leave it at the door if you think it's going to bother you, because a lot of the time when you come to dance, it's to relieve all the stress that's from school and anything else, like friends, anything that's going on outside of dance. You're coming to dance because you love it and you want to be there and you want to feel good. So don't bring that stress into the dance class, because then you're just going to be thinking about like, oh, I'm doing my trend sequence, but I have a 10-page paper due tomorrow. It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
It's
you're
hard
there.
to separate.
You're not going to be writing that paper when you're in class regardless. So enjoy in the moment. Enjoy that you're
100%,
dancing because that's what you want to be doing because you love it.
I will say though that I've actually made a TikTok exactly about this
Really?
topic. I agree with leave your baggage at the door, but what I said earlier, like sometimes it's good to bring the baggage in and use it as
if you can use it as
fuel.
motivation,
Exactly.
then do that. But if it's something that it's like,
it's
me
gonna get in
thinking
the way
about
of your
it is
dancing,
just gonna ruin my day.
100% no.
Yeah, and I think that's what my teacher more meant, and like she's so wise.
No,
I had a lot of teachers though at college that had that same pep talk, but they said it in a rude way.
Yeah. Like I don't care what's going on in your life.
Even though they're like, leave your drama at the door.
See, all my dance teachers from high school were just so nice about it. I couldn't
Oh,
even
that's so
imagine
nice
having
for you.
that. Like
That's-
that would be so like devastating though, to have a teacher just
I became
bring you
numb
down
to it
all the time.
I became numb to it, and I just said like, I don't really care at this point. Like I'm gonna do me. Like
for you,
that's
as
why
you should.
that's why I don't care what people think of me so much. I think just like lots of things, but like that's one of them. Just like hearing dance teachers that are very negative all the time, like they're projecting whatever. That's
they have their own issues that they're projecting onto you.
Oh yeah, they do. They do.
And you need to your chair keeps squeaking.
I'm gonna change this chair in a second.
You're
A moment. It's only when it wants to. It's not when I want to. Like if I try to do it, it stops. Anyways.
that says a lot about a person though, to be able to know when to listen to the teacher and know when to listen to yourself, and like it's
smart
like
dancers.
intuition. Yeah, smart dancers.
Smart dancers.
100%.
work
Yeah.
harder, not smarter. No, wait.
Work both.
Work. Yeah. Wait, what did you just say?
You said
Guys,
work
we've
harder,
been
not
saying
smarter. You meant the opposite.
Yeah.
We've said every cliche this entire episode.
But it's
Everything
so
happens
true.
for a reason.
It
The
is-
grass is always greener on the other side.
Turn out, don't burn out.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, I
Thank
like that.
Thank you. We should make merch.
Yeah, we should. You said that last episode
Releve.
I said that?
about merch.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's a sign.
Turn out,
Yes.
don't burn out.
So know that you're
Slay
not
on
alone.
Releve.
Yeah.
Slay on releve.
Slay and releve.
Keep calm.
Rella slay. No, that's bad.
Rella slay.
That sounds like relish.
So with burnout as a dancer, everybody can relate on some level. If you haven't experienced it before, good for you. And I hope that it stays that way. If you have experienced it, we understand what that's like. It's not easy, but you'll get through it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening and watching. If you're on TikTok or Instagram, please stream all of our episodes on Spotify or Apple Music. And we will see you in 2 weeks for our next episode.
Thanks for listening. Bye.